The next bill on the calendar for the day is House File 4030. The clerk will report the bill.
House File number 4030, number 2 on the calendar for the day, an act relating to commerce.
I recognize the author of the bill, Representative Gomez.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, members. So I've had the privilege of getting to know a lot of you, and you may have, experienced my passion for some of the policy issues that I work on behalf of. I chair the homelessness division. I care deeply about people experiencing housing insecurity. I've worked on issues around police accountability for my communities. I care a lot about taxes and racialized economic inequality. So when I imagined what my first standalone bill on the Minnesota House of Representatives floor would be, I thought maybe it would be like a great housing provision, probably not a good tax provision because we can't send those over to the Senate, right, Mr. Chair? But no, it is in fact the regulation of bullion in Minnesota. All right, so, and really, who among us hasn't been, at the grocery store or out knocking on doors in our communities and had our people say, you must take action on this critical need for Minnesotans. You must clarify the policies that regulate the purchase and sale of precious metals in our state. You must align us with the Dormant Commerce Clause of the Constitution. Well, don't worry, members. Today we have the chance to do that. So, House File 4030 is in response to a lawsuit that was filed against the Minnesota Department of Commerce, and it limits the scope of our regulation to apply only to consumers and sellers of gold bullion within the state of Minnesota. Please don't ask me any questions beyond that about what this bill does, if I may, So, this bill pushes back on the tyranny of big bullion. It's pro-precious metal. It's not just about gold, it's about palladium. It is agnostic on soup. I believe it's pro-Dormant Commerce Clause. It might be anti. I don't know. We'll have to ask the chair about that one. But I really hope to earn your support. Thank you so much, members.
There are amendments at the desk. The clerk will report the amendment.
O'Driscoll moves to amend House File number 4030. The amendment is coded A2.
I recognize the author of the amendment, Representative O'Driscoll.
Well, thank you, Madam Speaker and members. The A2 amendment deals with the exemption that was in the original draft language of the bill for trade shows. And this is how folks oftentimes become connected to or learn about how coin collecting and bullion and soup and different other kinds of things are marketed and sold here in the state of Minnesota. Just seeing if you're still paying attention. And in all seriousness, this is something that we need to delete the language and allow trade shows to be exempt so that folks can get out, be involved, learn. This is how folks pick up a new hobby or get into another area of entertainment. And so I would encourage a yes vote on the A2 amendment to eliminate the exemption for trade shows.
Discussion. Representative Olson B.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. So this amendment is vital to the continuation and the survival of the numismatic hobby. And the reason why, and I'll kind of break it down a little bit, is I just got off the phone with one of my coin dealers, actually Great Lakes Coins and Collectibles in Burnsville. He's an awesome man, Lee is. And he said that trade shows, not only are they, like Representative O'Driscoll said, not only are they an area in which people enter into the hobby, but if we do not exempt these trade shows, they will actually die. There's 2 large numismatic coin collecting clubs in the state of Minnesota, and they put on some of these trade shows every once in a while, and that draws dealers from all over, including different states. And if we don't exempt them, The dealers from other states are going to have two options. Either they jump through all the hoops that we're requiring them to do, including surety bonds, which is literally a tax on these coin dealers, and requiring them to get their licenses, requiring them to follow all the regulations that the state of Minnesota is holding, which some of them are good regulations. I'm not going to argue that some of them are. There are issues with numismatic issues. There's some currency that's a little bit iffy, and also mostly in 2013, which is a long time ago, and none of the authors of this original bill are still in this House. But in 2013, the reason why this was the way it was is because there were people, mostly telemarketer coin dealers, who were doing some really shady stuff. And that's why it was originally created. Our coin dealers in the state of Minnesota are great people. They run small businesses. They do not make millions of dollars, and they tend to not be fraudulent in any way, shape, or form. And so what we need, here's the deal. If we do not allow other good, small-time coin dealers to come to our state to attend these trade shows without jumping through all of our hoops, these trade shows will die. And once they die, individuals like myself who got into the hobby as a Boy Scout when I was 13 years old and got the coin collecting merit badge, they're not going to play the game. They're not going to be a part of this great and rewarding hobby. Someone who likes history as much as I do, I get to have a piece of history. Every time I learn something about a battle or a situation or something within history, I can have a little piece of it, and for an affordable price, because this hobby is doing okay. And so members, please accept this amendment. It is vital to the continuation of our hobby and to make sure that we have a healthy numismatic hobby in the state of Minnesota. Please support the amendment.
I recognize Representative Gomez.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And this will be the only serious moment in this whole presentation, hopefully, but this does address the major concern that we heard when we heard the bill in Commerce, and so I'm really thankful to Representative O'Driscoll for bringing it forward. And this is a vital step to just protect coin hobbyists and smaller operators. So jokes about the tyranny of big bullion notwithstanding, this is the right way to go, and so I urge a green vote on this. Thank you.
I recognize the author of the amendment, Representative O'Driscoll.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Representative Gomez, thank you for taking the amendment. Would Representative Olson yield to a question, please?
He will yield. Representative O'Driscoll.
Representative Olson, have you ever in the past or in the future intend to do one of those late-night cable TV shows that talk about coin dealing? Because you kind of got that persona. Just was wondering if maybe others in the chamber were as well.
Representative Olson B.
Well, Representative O'Driscoll, I can answer that for just 4 easy payments of $29.99.
Representative O'Driscoll. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of the amendment say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. The motion prevails and the amendment is adopted. There being no further amendments on the desk, the clerk would give the bill a third reading.
Third reading, House Bill number 4030, as amended.
Third reading. Discussion. I recognize the Representative Stevenson.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, members. You know, I was thinking about this bill last night, and I probably could have talked to Representative Gomez before today, but I've just been very busy. So I wonder if Representative Gomez would yield to a question.
She will yield. Representative Stevenson.
Representative Gomez, thank you for yielding. I was just wondering, could you talk about, just want to make sure all the boxes are checked. Can you talk about the stakeholder engagement that you've done on this bill to get ready for today?
Representative Gomez.
Madam Speaker, not today. Thanks for asking.
Representative Stevenson.
Well, thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Representative Gomez. Well, maybe I should be more specific because I had a specific concern. It just kind of came to me last night because I was thinking about the type of people who might be affected by this bill. And we talked about the tyranny of large bullion and the small coin collectors. But there's another group, and it might just be that I was watching some movies with my kids last night about the age of sail, but I was thinking about pirates. And you know, I just was concerned. I mean, if we have such a well-regulated gold bullion market in Minnesota, are we making Minnesota possibly like a magnet for pirates? I wonder if Representative Gomez, would Representative Gomez yield to answer that question?
She will. Representative Stevenson.
So I'm just wondering, are we going to have pirate trouble in Minnesota if we pass this bill?
Representative Gomez.
Well, as you may have heard on this House floor many times, even the most minor change to our regulations or incentives in the state can cause giant waves of migration. So, and I mean, we have one here with us today. So thank you.
Representative Stevenson.
Well, thank you. It's late in the game. I don't know if there'll be a conference committee on this bill, or if this is a new area of interest for you, perhaps you can consider follow-up legislation on the pirate problem. But I would encourage members to vote yes on the bill.
I recognize the member from Carver, Representative Nash.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Will the author yield?
She will yield. Representative Nash.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. To the author, in lines 3.24 through 3.27, it talks about a dealer responsibility for actions. What sort of actions could be taken against the dealer for any violation of this chapter by dealer representatives? Deeply concerning, not wanting to perpetuate tyranny, maybe for chicken bullion or beef bullion, but certainly very interested in what sort of actions could be taken.
Representative Gomez.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Representative Nash, for the important question. I would just draw your attention to the product that's called Better Than Bullion on the shelves. It's really like, and then you don't even have to worry about it. You know what I mean? So, thank you.
Representative Nash.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Perhaps bone bouillon or bone broth, perhaps. Congratulations on your first bill.
I recognize the member from Hennepin, Representative Long.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Representative Gomez and I have had some words about this bill in the past, and I think she knows some of my concerns. So I was just wondering if she would yield to a couple of quick questions.
She will yield. Representative Long.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Representative Gomez, I know that the tyranny of big bullion is something that we're all concerned about, but I'm particularly concerned about the little guy in this conversation, and would like to have some clarity about the definition of bullion. In particular, I'm thinking about some of those historic coin collectors who are probably just trying to keep a coin in their collection and not have it as an investment opportunity. So I'm wondering if you could answer if the definition of bullion here would include pieces of eight.
Representative Gomez.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Representative Long. I absolutely cannot define bullion for you, as I covered in my opening statement. However, I do know that it includes products that contain gold, silver, platinum, palladium, or other precious metals, not to include adamantium, I believe, or any of the other superhero-related metals. Thank you.
Representative Long.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Well, the second question I have, Representative Gomez, is one of the other hobbies that I've seen and gained some popularity in Minnesota is gold panning. And if I did some research before today, and howtofindgoldnuggets.com specifies that there's gold to be found in Minnesota streams and rivers with some careful and persistent panning. So I'm just curious if bullion would cover gold nuggets so that it might catch in its grips your average gold panning hobbyist.
Representative Gomez.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Representative Long. As Representative Long said, there is gold in these here streams. So, but if you're not selling it to anybody or you're not buying it, you're just finding it there in the stream, I don't think this applies to you whatsoever. So, thank you. Pan on.
Representative Long.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'll definitely take Representative Gomez's comments into consideration.
I recognize the member from Olmsted, Representative Quam.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And to the author, we don't get to choose our golden moments. But I was going to ask you a question of where's the beef? Now that we've got that taken care of, to be serious, I was around when this bill came up the first time, and there were concerns about unintended consequences and impacts. This is a lesson to members that the original intent was because there were some bad actors. The effect was to really hurt a lot of the small businesses. Coin collecting and that hobby and that business is generally a little smaller, a lot of local businesses have been impacted, and I hope this is a lesson that we take to heart, that we look at the impacts, look at all the stakeholders, and avoid some of these unintended consequences so you don't have to come back and spend a half hour with a bit of humor to do just a little bit of good to fix something.
Discussion. I recognize the author of, Representative Olson B.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. This bill is actually quite concerning to me. I know that there's been a lot of jokes and fun stuff happening. This definitely is something that concerns me. And what really concerns me is the definition of a dealer. To answer your question about bullion, the state of Minnesota actually has two differing definitions. They have one that includes bullion to be identified as any coin, bar, round, or ingot that includes precious metals, including silver, gold, palladium, and platinum. So that's one of the definitions. A second definition is precious metals bullion, which is not taxed by the state of Minnesota. And that's talking about things that are identified as 99.9% gold or silver. So we've got two differing definitions, one of which is not taxed, no sales tax included. The other one, which includes actual coins, historic coins that are taxed, which makes no sense to me. Why should I give you $1.07 for you to give me $1 in currency back? It doesn't make any sense whatsoever, but that's a different story for a different day, and it's a bill that I possess and that I hope we can pass next year when we're back here. But being said, when we're talking about this bill in particular, this bill requires any person who handles transactions in the state of Minnesota that exceeds $25,000. Buying and selling in excess of $25,000 identifies you as a dealer and requires you to register. All right, and then you have to get a surety bond, which I talked with, like I said, my coin collector friend, and he said that his surety bond costs $2,700 a year. On top of that, he has to do his licensing. On top of that, he has to have a background check done for himself and everyone who works at his business every single year. These are all the regulations that a coin dealer has to have just to open their doors in the state of Minnesota. Now, $25,000, it sounds like a lot of money. It absolutely does. But in all reality, that's 14 one-ounce gold coins. 14 of them. So let's say, for example, your grandparent passes away and they left you 14 one-ounce American Eagle St. Gaudens coins, right? Beautiful coins, beautiful coins. But let's say you go to the dealer. Guess what? You have just sold more than $25,000 worth of coins just because your grandparents passed away. Because you're talking about buying and selling coins. Heck, if I had purchased $25,000 worth of coins for a coin collection, now I don't have that much money, so I can't do that every single year. But if someone were to do that, they would have to register as a dealer. A collector who has found themselves in a little bit extra money, wants to invest, wants to buy something that is hard currency, something that's going to be valuable into the future. Whatever you think about paper money, I can promise you that gold, silver, and platinum will continue to hold value forever and always. If someone wants to do that, if they buy more than $25,000, they have to register as a coin dealer. If they bought it and they put it in a safe, they have to register. All right? This is incredibly concerning. It was why people were concerned in 2013. This bill does nothing to address that. The only difference that this bill does is now we're letting the trade shows back on, which puts it back to the original. It tightens up a little bit of the identifying aspect of Minnesota transactions, which is one of the reasons why other companies outside of our state will not sell coins to Minnesotans. You can go online and you can say, precious metals, buy gold. And let's say you just want to hedge against inflation, how about? That's a great idea of things that we've been talking about recently. You want to hedge your bets against inflation. You go online, you say, I want to buy some gold, I want to buy some silver, something that is hard and will last. You go online, you type it in, you put it into your cart, you type in your zip code, they say, oh, sorry, we refuse to sell to Minnesota. And the reason why is because that business will not go through the hoops in order to get you the coins that you want, in order to get you the money that you're attempting to purchase. Like I said, money that you're trying to purchase, that's what it is. They won't do it. Now, there are a number of companies that will, like you can go on eBay. eBay is exempt based off of this because it's an auction site. They are exempt. You still have to pay income tax, which is pretty expensive and nonsensical, but you're giving the big guys like eBay the attempt to sell to you, but the small dealer from Iowa can't do it. And in fact, I buy some of my coins off of Facebook, and if I were to buy too much from one individual, they would probably have a problem shipping it to the state of Minnesota. Members, we need to fix this. It absolutely needs to be fixed. It had to be tightened up based off of the language from 2013, but in actuality, this is not tight enough and it needs to just be thrown away. So I would please recommend that you vote no on this because it hurts the coin hobby. It hurts everyone who's attempting to invest in something that is tangible, something that is inflation-proof, something that will not be devalued based off of a terrible economy. This hurts. Let's vote no.
I recognize the author of the bill, Representative Gomez.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Representative Olsenby was right in that none of the things that he talked about, none of his concerns are covered by this bill. Sounds like he probably needs to get his own bullion bill, I'm just saying. But I'm not going to get up and say, members, this is a good bill, you should vote for it. This is a decent bill. It's a fair bill. You should vote for it. Thank you.
Seeing no further discussion, the clerk will take the roll. Members, please vote. The clerk will call the names of the members who haven't voted yet.
Anderson.
Anderson, no.
Anderson.
Anderson, no.
Anderson, no. Frazier.
Frazier, aye.
Frazier, aye. Freiberg.
Freiberg, aye.
Freiberg, aye. Gruenhagen.
Gruenhagen, no.
Gruenhagen, no. Hamilton.
Hamilton, no.
Hamilton, no. Hassan. Hassan. Houseman.
Houseman, aye.
Houseman, aye. Mason.
Mason, aye.
Mason, aye. McDonald.
McDonald, no.
McDonald, no. Pinto.
Pinto, aye.
Pinto, aye. Thompson.
Thompson, yes.
Thompson, aye. Speaker Hortman. Speaker Hortman.
Speaker Hortman, aye.
Speaker Hortman, aye. Hassan. Yep. Hassan. Mariani.
Mariani, aye.
Mariani, aye.
The clerk will close the roll.
So it's 70 yeses, 61 noes.
Okay. There being 70 yeses and 61 noes, the bill is passed as amended and its title agreed to.